Okay, so today I'm doing my questions based off the 2015 educators teacher one. So the first question it asked was based on the average teacher salaries for states in the South and the West, where would you prefer to teach and why? So at the first graph, we're only looking at the South and the West. So on the side, you see the average salary, and then the blue is the mean and the red is the median. So I'd prefer to live in the West because as the mean, median, and mode of all the states, salary is higher. So as you look at the South and the West, the blue and the red line and the West is higher and is making more salary than the South. And then along with the second highest average salary being in the West, which is California. So that teal line is the second highest average compared throughout the whole Midwest, Northeast, West, and South, and that's California on that teal bar there. So I would choose the West if I had to teach anywhere and specifically California, because the median mode is all higher than the South on the average salary. It beats it by quite a bit, honestly. So that's why I choose to live in the West. And then the second question is explore other quantitative attributes in this data set and compare the distributions for the South and the West based on the data you have examined. In which region do states seem to have good teaching conditions in their school? So when exploring other qualitative dates between the South and the West, it's a mix of findings. So the West and the South you go back and forth on. So for the first one, the number of teachers, so the graph right on the right, that one is higher in the South. So as you can see, that's the mean and the median, so the number of teachers. So in the South, in those schools, in that region, they have the right amount of teachers that can handle to teach our students. And then when you look at the other graph, the expenditure per students, so the West spends more money per student. So when you look at the graph on the left, the mean, median, the mode, and that little teal mark there, they're spending quite a bit more money on their students on the West Side School District. So it's just based on what you like more in that school program. So if you want a better percentage of teachers, the more teachers you have, or if they're spending enough money on students to get their education. So that's the first couple of graphs between the South and the West. And on the second two, so we're going to be looking at the student per teacher ratio, and that is higher in the West when you look at it. So it really just depends if you like that better, because to me, if you're seeing the student per teacher ratio, it's higher in the West. That means that West has more students per teacher. So that means that they have a lot of kids and not so many teachers, because as we've seen in the previous graph. And then on the other graph on the right, the number of high school grads, it is higher in the South. And to me, because that blue line is above all of them, and to me, I feel like that's better quality. So if I had to choose which school district to go in, I would probably choose the South, because as we went over it, they have the correct number of teachers for your student, and they have more high school grads. So to me, if I was looking at that, I would choose the teacher and the number of high school grads, just because you want to see your previous. As the other two on the West side there's the student per teacher ratio, how there's way more teachers in the West and than the South, but they do spend more money on their students, and that's probably because they need to. So if I had to choose one, I would definitely choose the South side, because the South side of the region, just because there's better quality, better high school grads, and just a better number of teachers for our students to be learning from the data that we collected through this graph.